Hi and welcome to another video in my Photoshop Essential Skills series. Everything you need to know to get you well and truly started on your journey of discovery with Photoshop. In this video we're going to be exploring the healing brush. Now don't forget, if you're a fan of the printed page, there is a free ebook to accompany the video. Just click the link in the More section under the video to download it. Okay, well let's dig in. Now the healing brush tool takes its basic behaviour from the clone stamp tool, which copies pixels from one area of an image to another in order to cover up blemishes and things. But the healing brush adds an automatic blending that helps to give you a much better result. Now here I've got an image and I'll try and use this to help demonstrate the basic concept behind the healing brush tool. So I'll go ahead and choose the healing brush. Now it's grouped together underneath the spot healing brush tool, so I'll just click on that to select it. I'll make my brush a little bit bigger, something like that, with the square brackets tool, the left and right square bracket tool. And you can see here I've got a couple of images stitched together. One's got a load of texture on, and then I've got two very smooth tone colours. So what I'll do is I'll just go into the textured area here, and what we need to do is to sample, and we do that by holding the Alt key down and you get that little target icon, and then we click with the mouse button and then we let go of both, and we've now got some tonality from this area loaded onto the brush. And if I move it into, say, this smooth tone area, this green, and I just click and hold my mouse down, you'll see what it's actually doing is it's taking the detail and it's blending it in with the colour from the destination area. So if I let go of my mouse button now, you'll see what it's done. It's actually took the detail from this side, but it's blended it from the colour from the source side. And the same will happen down at the bottom. If I Alt and click and then move into this white area and click and let go, you'll see what's happened. It's took the detail again from this side and it's made a blend with the colours and tonality from this side. And it works the same in reverse. So if I Alt and click here on, let's say, the white area, and then move into the detail area and click, and you can see what it's done is it's took the smooth tones from this side and it's blended it with the overall colour from this side. And it's going to work exactly the same if I do it with the green. If I Alt click to sample, move into the detail and click, you see it's took the detail from this area, which is basically a smooth area, and it's created a blend with the colours from the underlying area here in the destination. Well, that's the theory of how it works. Now let's have a look at a more real-world example. Now in this example I've been working destructively. I've just took a background layer and I've been messing around with it. Under normal circumstances this isn't the way I'd use the tool. I would look to work more non-destructively. So let's have a look at another example. Here we've got an image and there are a couple of little skin areas that we may need to retouch. I'll just zoom in a little bit so we can see that. So first let's select the tool. So I'm going to go to the toolbox, and it's grouped, the healing brush is grouped with the spot healing brush tool. So if that's what you see, just click and hold down on it, and then we're going to be selecting the healing brush tool. Now up at the top here we've got the tool options for the tool, and I'd just like to spend a minute just to go through a couple of them. The first one here is the presets. If I click on that, you can make presets and keep them all in here. The next one along is the brush options, and here you can change the dynamics of the brush. We can change the size, the hardness, the spacing, and we can actually change the angle of the brush, and we can squish it down and make it an elliptical brush if we wanted. I'll just set that back. Now the size menu really is for if you're using a brush. It's going to be changing the dynamics of the brush depending on the pen pressure or whether you use a stylus wheel. I'm just going to leave that off for this exercise. Next is a toggle for the clone source panel, where you can create multiple clone points. In the clone source panel, you can click a source button and set additional sampling points. You can set up to 5 different ones. Now the mode here specifies the blending modes. We've got quite a few. We can multiply screen, darken, lighten, and a couple of more arty ones. The source, this is important because we can either source from a sample point, which we're going to be doing, or we can source from a pattern. Like I said, for today's exercise, we're going to be using a sample. And default on this is that we hold the Alt key down and we click to take a sample. Now the next one is aligned, and this is where we sample pixels continuously without losing the current sampling point, even if you release the mouse button. If you deselect a line, you continue to use the sample pixels from the initial sampling point each time you stop and resume painting. Sample, now this tells you really where you're going to be sampling the data from. You can sample from current layer, current and below, or all layers. Well, we're going to be working non-destructively, so I want that set to sample from all layers. Now, next one along is to ignore the adjustment layers when healing. Now, if you want the effect of any adjustment layers to be ignored during the healing process, then you just click this icon. Next is pressure control. If you've got a pressure sensitive tablet, you can set this to control the size of the brush. And then lastly but not leastly, we've got diffusion. Now the healing brush, spot healing brush and the patch tool in Photoshop now have a different diffusion slider, which controls how quickly the pasted region adapts to the surrounding image. As a general guideline, low slider values are good for images with fine grain or fine details, whereas high values are good for smooth images. If it does a bad job, just press Ctrl and Z or Command and Z on the Mac to undo and try again. Now this tool is fantastic for removing little spots, pimples and other minor skin blemishes and dust, dirt, mould and small scratches. So let's give it a go. Like I said earlier, we're going to be working non-destructively, so what I'm going to do is put another layer. I'm going to click on the new layer icon at the bottom of the layers panel and put a new layer. And I'm going to rename it Retouch and click. And that activates the layer for me. And because now I'm sampling on all layers, when I actually use the tool now, it will put all my retouch on this layer. So it doesn't affect my base layer at all, which is totally non-destructive and pretty cool. Okay, so we've got as tool selected the healing brush, so I'm going to go down to an area where I think it needs some healing. So what I can do, and you need the brush to be about the size or just a little bit bigger than the area you're trying to heal. So I'm just going to make that a little bit bigger, and you can use the brush by clicking or clicking and dragging. So I've got a little blemish there, so I'm going to click and drag across that point to try and heal it. There we go. And you'll see what I mean. If I just Alt and click, I'm taking a sample from that point where the cursor is now, and when I move the cursor away and I click to lay down those pixels and to make a blend, you'll see that little cross appears. That's where the samples are coming from. So now if I'm with aligned tick, so I've got a tick in the aligned box, so now if I Alt and click, say here, and I go over here and click, now what's happening is as I move the cursor, you'll see that that little cross, the sampling point, it moves with the cursor. So I'm actually taking sample points from a certain distance away. You can see that's not making a particularly good job. So I'll edit and step backward a few times. So now if I go and untick the align tick box and I create a sample again, so I'm going to Alt and click, and as I move away to an area where I want to lay down these pixels, if I click, you'll see that again initially it seems the same. That little cross is a certain distance away from the actual cursor, and if I lay those pixels down, but now if I move my cursor, I'm always drawing from that same point. It's not following me. So you can see what's happening. I'm always getting my pixels from one good point. Now that may be useful. The way I tend to use the tool is I don't have a line ticked, and I will sample a lot of times. I will sample all over the place. Okay, so let's see what we mean by this. So I'm going to alt click and drag over a couple of these little blemishes. And again, you do get quite quick with it, but I'm alt clicking every maybe second. Everything I see, I'll alt click something close to it. So alt click, and that's the way to use the tool. And you do get very, very fast with it. And I'll make the brush a little bit smaller. And again, we'll just have a see. We'll go alt click at the side and we'll just drag down. Maybe just drag up a little bit and that, and go for a couple of these little pore areas maybe, and little bits there. And it's pretty good as well for removing stray hairs. So if I alt click next to this hair, click and drag down it, and there it was, gone. I'll do another couple up here, just get rid of these little distractions. But you see I'm alt clicking right next door, as close as I can to where I want to replace the pixels, because that's probably the best place where I'm going to get the pixels from. Right, let's have a look where we're going with this. So you can see we've got this retouch layer. We've actually done nothing to the background layer at all, but now I can turn off that retouch layer, and you can see some of the work I've done, making that a little bit better. But now it's totally non-destructive. We can come back, we can throw away this layer, we can erase some of the things on the layer and start again, but we've not actually done anything to our background layer, which is pretty cool. Now a little tip, you can use one of the blend modes to make the healing a little bit better, and that one is the lighten blend mode. So we can set the brush to have a lighten blend mode, and with the brush set to lighten, Photoshop it'll only replace pixels that are darker than the good texture data. And since pimples and other skin blemishes are usually darker than normal skin, only the pimple or the blemish gets replaced, leaving more of the original image surrounding it intact. So let's just have a look at that. I'll press the Z key to get the zoom tool, and then I'll just zoom in on this area. You can see we've got a little blemish down here. Now I'm working with my healing brush and I'm in lighten mode now. And all I'll do is I'll just quickly click and drag across that and let it go. And that's pretty good. I'll make my brush a little bit smaller and I'll just drag across that hair. And there's that one. We'll go back to normal just to get rid of these hairs. And that's looking pretty good. Zoom back out again, and then we'll have a quick look. We'll turn it before and after. Before and after, I think just a couple of minutes work and we've made a dramatic improvement on this image. Well, that's it for this video. I do hope you liked it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up or leave a comment under the video, or share it with a friend, or even better, share it with two. Don't forget to check out the more area under the video for the link to any download files or ebooks. And please click the subscribe button so when I upload a new video, you are the first to know. I'll see you in the very next video. Bye for now.